Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, the podcast where I get to share the marketing and the mindset so you, the chiropractor, can increase your income, your impact, and your enjoyment in practice too. You know, in today's episode, it's very much focused on you increasing income, impact, and enjoyment in practice. I'm speaking with an amazing friend of mine, a wonderful chiropractor, Tony Ebel. In today's episode, Tony shares the 3-step process that has allowed him to constantly stay ahead in the social media game. Now, here's what we covered in today's content-rich conversations. You'll learn the best way to come up with trending content. We talk about how often you should post and on what platforms, the 2 platforms that Tony is knocking it out of the park with at the moment, they're 2. We talk about the key metrics you should measure, and in particular, what are the questions that you should be asking patients when they come into you so you can find out how they really heard about your practice. We also talk about the biggest mistakes that chiropractors make with their communication that confuses people in the community and ultimately turns them away. This is just a sneak peek of some of what we talk about in this wonderful episode. As always, gang, thanks for what you do. Keep saving lives, and I look forward to seeing you back here real soon. Let's go chat with Tony. Tony Ebel, welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast. How are you, buddy?
I am fantastic. Am I considered like a regular contributor now?
Well, you know how
what's the right term here?
I'm not like, it's got to almost be heading towards co-host. I throw that out carefully. So I figured, you know, when you open up the podcast app on your Apple phone and it comes up little pictures of people underneath there too, I feel like it should be almost me and you there. So, you know, in terms of world domination, certainly via the Marketing Your Practice podcast, second place is now a long way behind. So, and I'm grateful for it.
Dude, we have, with the similarities of our haircuts, it can just be one picture and people, you know, what are they going to know? Right?
Yeah, I know.
I just feel like, I don't know why your mustache, you know, comes and goes so quickly. You know, I'll see it on Instagram and then I don't see it when we get on Zoom. And I'm like, what's going on here?
I like to just throw it in and out. It keeps everybody on their toes. Although, that being said, here's what's happening too. At the moment, I've been filming CA for social media course, right? And I love the mustache, but I don't know that I need to have it there. You know, if this course is going to be around for the next few years before I refilm it again, you know, who knows what might happen to mustaches in a couple of years' time. So Lauren, my wife, would tell me they're never cool, but as soon as I finish filming, it's coming back, trust me.
Understood. Hey, let's jump right on that horse right away. As we were just talking about ahead of time, my CA crew is so stoked to get in there. And I got the early bird understanding that you were going to do that. What a genius, game changer. These sort of terms like that are thrown around a whole lot too much where people don't really deliver on the change of said game. But that's it, man. I'm a clinic owner and I'm tapped into, 800 other clinic owners, and they literally know what they need to do with social media. They just can't keep up. You know, we're going to talk about that today. And actually what we're talking about today is these are multiple people doing this. So we're going to talk about today. So that CA course that you're going to train, party on, Wayne. That is, I can't wait for that to go.
Well, we've done it many times with our own staff. We've had our own office managers running our social media for a number of years now. And I've helped a number of community influencer members do it, but it was time, maybe 6 months ago, I went, this is where my focus has got to be. And again, we've got our foundation class, which is starting. By the time people are listening to this, it will have started. So there's 20 practices going through it there too. And I will work single-handedly to make sure that this knocks it out of the park for the profession going forwards.
The concept is straightforward. So this story will give meaning to what we're talking about on this episode and to the insane value of that you training their CAs. You helped me with this. You had to zoom in, obviously, because it was last year and all the stupid COVID stuff, right? But we did that marketing event in Nashville. I did a live day and a half training, right? And we had like 50 docs or whatever was there. And that's the word I actually want to hone in on. I remember hitting Sunday morning, and Sunday morning I turned it into kind of a workshop. So Saturday, you did a training. I did some trainings. Dr. Toohill did. Dr. Axe even came in and did some training on us. Like, it was a legendary training.
Yes.
And then Sunday we turned into workshop mode, and they were asking these chiropractors, there's 50 chiropractors there. that
Mm.
all own clinics, and they were asking all these granular questions that I knew I had the answers to. And then I had this like moment like, oh crap, they're not going to be able to do 20% of this, because the only people looking back at me are
Mm.
busy chiropractors seeing that one's seeing 300 a week, that one's seeing 500 a week. These are PX docs who are crushing it. So I'm
Mm.
like, this is a useless training. I was pissed off at myself. I'm like, I did this wrong. I should have demanded they brought a CA, at least one,
Yes.
and come with it, because that's the only chance they have for implementation. And you and I are implementation obsessed. Like, we don't like to
Yes.
teach anything if we don't think about here's how you could actually do it.
Yes.
um, yeah, sorry, a little bit of a rant.
No, it's not. It's a really important thing to think about, because the practical implementation of it is where it's at. The best idea in the world that's not implementable is not the best idea. And my journey has been that when I had some skills in around making videos. People said to me, how do you do it? I told them, and none of them did it. And so it was like, interesting. Okay, what sits beneath that? And then there's a whole bunch of frameworks, which we'll talk about today with regards to you, and belief systems that have to support it also. And that's what I'm really fascinated about now with my training, is not just the content, but the implementation, which is what you and I often geek out about today. But you've got a process about, because it moves so quickly, how do we stay ahead, or at least keep up with what's kind of moving there too? There's a 3-part process that you go through that works really great with your team. Tell us about that.
Yeah, number one is everything. These go in pecking order. You're not quite going to get to 2 and 3 as effectively if you don't go after number one with everything you got first. So I wrote it down as kind of swim with the social media big fish. And what I mean by that is there's actually 3 kind of sub bullet points to this first one. The free one to do this is you could just follow those on social media who are big fish, who are giants, right? And I'm going to put a very specific, focus on this. Like, I'm not talking about following Kylie Jenner, or going on YouTube and trying to be, I just lost the mind, dude perfect, right?
Yes.
And go to that scale, because you're building a brick and mortar. Because if you follow too big of fish, you'll learn nothing, because their strategies aren't applicable. So find somebody who's in a healthcare space on Instagram, on Facebook, who has built these big followings, and don't just follow them for the sake of, I like what they're saying. Really intently learn the strategies, try and deconstruct it and see what's up. The second version of doing this swim with the big fish is you can actually pay to have a coach and have a mentor, right?
Yep.
You can be in community influencer, you can be in the pediatric experience. For us, our big fish is Dr. Josh Axe, Dr. Dan Sullivan, Dr. Dave Toohill. These guys have built, a company that has 3 commas to it, and they built it online. They went from radio to YouTube to social to email, so they're a machine. So to learn from them, they have much more valuable lessons than other chiropractors, because sadly in our profession, the biggest chiropractic business we know of, kind of the $1 million clinic, is a small business, really small in
Yes.
the big of business. And so then the other way you can swim with the big fish, this is a recent move we have pulled off. And this, I'm speaking to the 10% listening who are just flat nuts. And I believe in a good way, like me, you can hire these people to actually come on your team. So we just hired 2, I was telling you about them beforehand, John and Jesse. We hired 2 marketing people for our team who have run social media for companies where they were spending between 1 to 3 million on ads per month.
Wow.
And just massive accounts, right? Where we're like, what? Like, if you might have to rewind that and be like, did I say that? Yeah. And so we sold them on mission. We don't have the obviously the volume of traffic and revenue and everything that they are leaving their previous companies for. But that's okay, because the companies they were doing this big business for were not heart, soul, mission, vision companies that we have with saving babies. So we stole them. So that's kind of the 3-part breakdown of swim with the big fish. But you gotta be really tapped into all the people that are a lot better at this than you. And then
Yes.
you model what they do. You don't copy it, because if you're just trying to be Josh, you're screwed. If you're just
Yes.
trying to be Tony or Angus, you're screwed. And so this learning means modeling. It doesn't mean copying. And that's important to bring up, because chiropractors love to just copy other people's crap. They're just lazy. And
Yeah.
you just look terrible for it. Your brand gets hurt, not built.
I've got a thought on that too, just to dive into this. I made a little Instagram reel recently. If I can give some advice on because people might be saying, what sort of account should I be following? Go through these 2 steps. First of all, work out who is the person that you're trying to reach.
Yep.
Find out what influences they're following. That's what and then look at what they're creating and model that. So, and by all means too, follow Dude Perfect and follow Kylie Jenner or Caitlin, which I don't know the Jenners there too, because you'll see big picture there too. But the best people for you to be following are the bigger accounts that your ideal patient is following. On a second point with this too, I've just started doing a little course with a guy, MKBHD, Marquez Brown, who's a YouTube guy. He massive channel. Like I think, oh man, we're talking 30 million followers, does these tech reviews. And I'm doing a little course of his at the moment where he's talking about how to put videos together. And he flat out says there too, there's nothing new. Everybody's copying, okay? But you copy and you run your flavor through it. And it was so nice to hear that from him, which just exactly reflects what you said before in modeling. You know, if someone's got a real style where they do, you know, A, B, and C, then just the mere fact that you do it, don't use their exact words. You've got your location, bring your authenticity, come through it. But, you know, modeling is great. It's a fast track.
You know, so here's a super real, you know what, my favorite people to learn from are people who are not just teaching concepts, but they're actually giving case studies of what they do in business. Then you can believe it and apply it. You have to have buy-in to have the implementability that we talked about before. So I love if somebody on a podcast or YouTube video or a seminar, like I'm all for principles and concepts, but then I immediately need that teacher, you know, us here, to turn that into an example. So here's an example of our exact strategy right now with our brick and mortar clinic, and then with our full PX Docs network. So we're building a worldwide pediatric chiropractic brand through PX Docs. And so we're studying social media on a local scale, and we're studying it on a literal global scale. So what is crushing on Instagram, I have to laugh at this because I get pissy and excited at the same time. So anything to do with farming, like if I do a video about subluxation, it goes so far. If I were to hold my chickens, so I happen to live on a farm, right? If I have my chickens or my goats or my mini donkeys, my chances of going viral are through the friggin' roof. So farmers, okay, I'm not talking about the farming dating app, Angus, so let's not get off track. Farmers, so we're talking about farmers on Instagram, homesteaders, freaking natural health, you know, like crushing it. Next up, this has always been the way with the internet. Anybody talking anything to do with diet and nutrition. So I have about half a team PWC right now is on the carnivore diet. These crazy people on my team are literally like punching a cow on the side, pulling the liver out, taking a bite of the liver, like they're taking these fire starter shots. I mean, these people's HRVs are just going to crap, right? But because they're insane right now. So carnivore, I just did it before we got on. If you go carnivore diet on Instagram, it's got the hashtag is used about 700,000 and some change times over whatever time frame Instagram uses there. Here's 3 that we're hunting down. I have a very specific target to make chiropractic, so our terminology, I'm going to get granular here, as sexy, so therefore it gets as much traction, so we create as much impact. Because see, here's where we're at. We're talking awareness first, and then we'll get into conversion and, you know, their new patient, their life is transformed. So carnivore diet, 700,000. Dysautonomia just climbed over 400,000 for the first time.
Wow.
Vagus nerve is at 180,000, and subluxation is over 100,000. I have a little alarm on my phone. I track these every month. It's the first time that dysautonomia went over 400,000. First time that vagus nerve is coming up above 150. And subluxation just made it into 6 figures for the first time. And I've been tracking it on Instagram for about 6 months, really this year. So my gap to close is that dysautonomia, vagus nerve, and subluxation have more traffic on Instagram. And then we can talk about SEO. Same concept if you go with SEO. We're doing this on SEO, we're doing it on Facebook. I want to close that gap, not because I want to be right, but I know that you can get a lot more health out of getting adjusted than you can the carnivore diet. And I'm not putting down the carnivore diet, but come on, how many freaking billions of people on the planet right now are on their 18th diet and still sick as shit because they're subluxated as can be?
Yeah.
So this is a mission play that becomes very strategic. So carnivore people, we are coming for you with our vagus nerve freaking fired out.
It is exciting though to see words, because we can piggyback right on to, vagus and dysautonomia. I mean, we actually have a practical application for this. Is what I think is very interesting. People talking about this polyvagal theory.
Dude.
I don't know why it's still a theory, but people talking about it and they're like, okay, what do I do about it? Well, here's what you do. You find yourself a really great chiropractor, and that's the best way that you can impact it. I mean, by all means, do some breathing and stuff like that as well. But
people see, you're right where I'm at with this, homie. Like, that's what pisses me off about chiropractic. They get so close. I always kind of reference that Willie Mays Hayes movie, Major League, but like where they're sliding into second, they just miss it. They don't quite get there. And it's like, okay, so if dysautonomia, vagus nerve, autonomic nervous system, so neurology, because of stress, the stress, any product, any device, any practitioner who is marketing and branding themselves around stress, meaning de-stress someone and give them better sleep, give them more energy, they're kicking ass right now. They're beating, almost catching up to weight loss people. Okay, I just went even kind of higher, 30,000 foot view there. But chiropractic has, I have to laugh because it just keeps me sane. We have branded ourselves around the spine and back pain. Could we get less sexy? Right? And less important. Walk around with our stupid dry spine and I have digital x-rays. Okay. Looks like looks like a DeLorean. So we're marketing there. So anything to do with stress is kicking ass in that way. But when we partner up, what I want to teach everybody on this podcast is don't be afraid to go for it. What Angus just said is exactly what we say when we piggyback on these terms. That traffic goes directly into chiropractic. I don't piss around with breathing exercises and vagal massage and going for a walk in nature and then try and sneak chiropractic, in the side door. We've been stuck outside forever. So it's about time we use these strategies to blast through the freaking front door. And if you're like, well, no, it's not going to work. Said with full humility of effort, like, we're proving that wrong. Our PX Talks platform, we now have the 17th ranked article on dysautonomia. We just got in the top 10 on Google with sensory processing disorder. I have a vagus nerve article that just made it into the top 50. So we are taking these terms and winning on social and winning on SEO. And how does this go to our concept today?
Yeah.
Guess who taught me how to do this? Big fish. Not me. This ain't my idea.
Yeah. What's interesting? I've been doing some real, deep dive further into marketing. And one of my teachers has been drilling into me that we sell the result, not the vehicle. And this is where the result could be this dysautonomia or the lack of result there, or polyvagal there too. And so we get stuck on selling chiropractic. Chiropractic at the end is the vehicle that we'll use, but we don't need to talk about that. We can say, this is what happens when your vagus nerve is working poorly. This is what happens when your vagus nerve is working amazing. Do you want that transformation? Wouldn't that be fantastic? Yes, 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 yes. Here's chiropractic. Same with dysautonomia. Yet what we do is we start with chiropractic and we begin there, and we wonder why people aren't interested. We should always be selling the result, which is, a vagus nerves that are working properly, an autonomic nervous system that's in equilibrium there too. So
yeah, so the beginning of our market, punch the problem squarely in the face, loudly, clearly, emotionally in the face, then speak right to the solution and let them figure out that it's chiropractic. what we're trying to do is we're trying to market on like chiropractic principles, power that made the body heals the body. You don't have to get a band-aid and you have a cut and you put a band. Oh my God. Like it's just so gibberish and, a foreign language to people. Their language is, I have a problem and I'm interested in a solution. The opportunity we have right now is there's never been a time that the market wants a drug-free, non-medical doctor delivered product solution than ever before. The drug-free market. And that, you know what, you bring up polyvagal. So I did a quick search. This is us chiropractors. We fall in love with things and we don't actually think to look outside and see if the world cares. Polyvagal only has 24,000 on. So compared to, dysautonomy or vagus nerve, it's not even relevant,
Right.
But and then I see a lot of people, instead of talking about, chiropractic as neurologically based, because nervous system is very trending, we'll call it. We talk about brain based, it's just confusing. Brain based hashtag. Yeah. Doesn't even register.
Well, I've been doing a bunch of these little one-day workshops recently. And one of the chiropractors was telling me, because he was referring to himself as a neurospinal wellness practitioner. And he got I like the advice that he got, in that he was working with a guy who was one of Seth Godin's right-hand dudes. Yeah. And he said, when you call yourself a chiropractor, people have an understanding of what that is, and you're going to immediately kind of turn them off. So when you call yourself a neurospinal wellness practitioner, it was something like that too. At least you're going to open up their brain to, Now, my take is yes, that's right. If you and I are at a party and we're one-on-one together and you throw that term out, I'm going to go, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. If I'm online and I see that, I'm going to just flip straight past it, because, the old saying of, when you confuse, you lose. If I have to think about it, I'm moving straight on past it. So, I got to review a great chiropractic little reel the other day. A really nice chap reached out and said, can you have a look at my reel? And I watched, he was talking in there about spinal resilience. And if you and I and 10 or 15 chiropractors around, we would have watched this and geeked the shit out. It was beautiful language in around resilience of the spine and nervous system, the body's ability to heal itself. I got to tell you, if we were to find 1,000 people, you'd be lucky if you found one that had any idea what he was talking about if you weren't a chiropractor. So I have to go back and go, dude, amazing video. If you're talking to a philosophy class, 5th year students, okay, they would love the heck out of this. If you're talking to people in your local Elstonwick community, you just confused all of them and none of them got past the first 6 seconds of the video.
And I'm a perfect example of that. And it goes back, this is what we've been talking about, all kind of put together again in a real life case study. So I just looked it up because I just love this lady and I'm so thankful for her. So 7 years ago, and her daughter, one of our patients, a perfect storm, amazing miracle case, just graduated high school. So we were just having a good chat and reminiscing about the journey that it's been with this family. Well, this gal named Catherine I guess technically is a mom. She was a mom in the practice who built a really great online business herself on social media, Kajabi and everything else. And she came to us as a mom, and this is how this woman is wired. She's like, you're good at social media for a chiropractor. And I was like, oh, thank you. That's really nice. And she goes, which is like saying, you're great at dance. You're great at basketball for a short white guy, you suck is really what she was saying. She just kind of lofted it up first, right? Gave you a little nice feeling before the truth came out. She's like, I'm in for your mission and I've been studying this and building my business for 5 years. Can I come online and come on the team? So this was our first CA we ever hired 7 years ago to do our social media. And it was the greatest move we ever made. And the first lesson, what made me think of this with Catherine. So she's like, okay, we got to learn. The number one thing I know is that your language is too advanced. She's like, when I'm with you one-on-one, it's the same scenario there, Angus. She's like, when you're in here in the practice talking to me and my daughters, like you always dumb it down. You bring it down to our level and it makes sense. When I watch your videos, and then she came to the workshop and she recorded my entire Perfect Storm workshop. This is 7-8 years ago. And she put it through some software that basically grades out. It gives a school grade.
Wow.
She's like, you're speaking at a PhD level to a room full of parents. Yeah. So I bet when you go on the road, which I was doing a ton at that time, right? I was going and teaching, I was going all over the place, teaching at CalJam and everything else. I had taken this chiropractic language
Mm-hmm.
and was trying to bring it into the community. And what Catherine did, and I hated it at first, hated it. I was like, you can't take away disaffrontation from me. I'm going to say it, damn it. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, no, you're not on the first date, and not on social media. So she scaled all of our terminology back to 5th grade to high school level, rewrote all of our copy on our landing pages, rewrote all of our emails, gave me structure to do videos with, and our freaking stuff just blew up. So
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about here, guys. It's like, we're not marketing for other chiropractors, we're marketing for chiropractic patients.
Yeah. Love it. Step number 2, dude.
Yeah. So step number 2 is, one was basically saying learn from the highest level of practitioners.
Yes.
Step number 2 is become a practitioner yourself. We'll put them both together because one begets the other.
Yeah.
Step 2 is post every damn day on every platform. So there, everybody just throw up in their mouth. They're like, I don't have time. You know how many people I'm seeing? I do. Okay. So back to foundational, get a CA, get help, get through it. Get over it. We're all busy. I love when people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm rather busy. And I'm like, oh, are you? And then track it. So number 2 is post on every platform. So we create about 3 to 4 different types, and I'll break these down, of content on 2 different platforms. Really, we're obsessed with Facebook and Instagram right now. We're doing so well. We haven't felt the need to do TikTok, nor do we trust it. So that's just where we are. And then number 3 step is track the results. So you got to have a dashboard. Each Facebook, Instagram, they all do this for you. You're literally just hitting a tab or 2 and paying attention. You just got to set the reminder to do it every 7 days. By posting every single day with these 3 to 4 different types of content, I now know how I'm doing, how we're doing. So the first move was very effective to learn from others, but they ain't me and they're not we. And so the only way you can, and this is the reason I know number 2 and number 3 are so obvious. Like, well, yeah, that's what we should do. But a lot of people are sitting on the damn fence with social media and complaining that it's moving too fast for them to keep up. You're not even trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And the most effective way would to be in the water, and just paddling and swimming. And so we learn by doing. And so when we turn around and we're helping our pediatric experienced clients with their social media, the reason they trust us, implement it, and it works is because we just implemented it and found out that it worked. And so it really gets to move fast. You can keep up with the current because you're literally just looking at the data and saying, these posts are performing exceptionally well. Let's do more of them. These posts have faded. It may have worked 3 months ago, 3 days ago. They don't anymore. So the strategy becomes simple. Like, okay, this is what's working now. This is what isn't. Make the decisions going forward.
So for peeps that are listening, if you are on either Facebook or Instagram, so Instagram, if you have a professional account, lets you get insights that, in fact, I'll share what I think is worth tracking, and then you can kind of share your thoughts in a moment. If you're on Facebook and Instagram there as well, then over on the Facebook platform is a thing called Publisher Tools. It's free there for you, where you can get a snapshot of all the posts that you're posting, and you can find out pretty much everything about it. What age group of people are looking at it, how many people have commented, what is the engagement. To me, when people ask me what should I be tracking, the question goes one step back and you go, what are the social media platforms looking for? And they have flat out come out and said, we want engagement. That's what we want. And engagement is anytime somebody takes an action on your content, likes it, shares it, comments, turns the video up, some kind of thing that has them stop on it. That would be the one simple thing that I would be focusing on more than anything, is engagement. And both of the apps, either directly through insights in the Instagram or Publisher Tools, is how I do it. What are your thoughts on what are you measuring and how are you doing it?
That's exactly what it is. So we pay attention to the data within each of the app. My team that runs this for, again, this is where I want everybody to understand, like, sometimes I know when you hear like, okay, we've hired these 2 marketing people and they're now in-house. So then you can immediately just shut us off because you're like, well, I don't have that, so I can't do that. I only did that because I did the job first. All the systems we're talking about here
Yes.
were all on my plate to begin with. Because they work, we were able to grow to a level of being able to afford team members to do it. So I get a weekly dashboard. Our marketing team for both companies, for 3 now with PX Stocks, they have a dashboard that they input the math into every 7 days, every 30 days, every 90 days with different kind of tabs. And I can look at it and really just within 10 minutes know what's working and what's not. Because I'm doing a lot of the content, but not as much as I used to. I'm more kind of like setting the strategic plan. So that works. The insights that are on there, but I'm going to throw a big old but in here. But I don't care as much about those as the other 2 ones that you need to track inside your clinic. So I'm just doing a big video and a blog on this that'll come out here pretty soon, probably around the same time on our channel that this comes out on the podcast. And it's called After the Equal Sign. The only thing that matters is, I'm not even saying new patients yet. So you can obviously track in your clinic, are we getting new patients? I'll get to that next. But I'm talking about, is your revenue and profit margin actually going up? So when you run all this math, all the outputs, are you posting on social media? So we call outputs literally our effort. We can't bitch about the results if we didn't hit our marks, right? On the actual outputs and the effort. Then once you've got to posting every single day, now you're actually in the game. Now you're playing the game. So now I feel like you can actually start to track data and say, what's engaging, what's working, what's not. There's the insights. Now, as you learn, as you get good, you actually see the fruits of your labor in the practice. New patients are not only coming in, but everybody listening, if you're taking notes, the word is converting onto care plans. And when they convert onto care plans and they pay cash for them, after the equal sign means, do your collections actually go up in equal or greater, is what we're going for, proportions to the effort you put in to make it. And what a lot of people will do is not carry the math all the way through. And one last tip from a clinical. So because I'm obsessed with creating impact, which is the first move in that is marketing, we also ask every single patient, not just on the form, we do on our new patient intake form, but my CAs will actually connect with them and they'll ask, how did you hear about our clinic? I know you're like, I do that, but here's the deal. You've got it. I actually have trained my CAs to really flesh out the entire journey, because you teach it better than anybody, Angus. I rarely, if ever, out of 80 new patients a month, does anyone ever come from just one source.
Yes.
But what they'll do, if you only have them check a box on your paperwork, they'll just pick either the first one or the last one. And here's how it typically goes. What is happening all over Crystal Lake right now, community I practice in, is a bunch of our raving fans, delighted patients, are sitting at baseball tonight. They're at the pool, they're at a barbecue, they're at whatever, and they're talking about PWC. They're talking about, hey, you really should look at pediatric chiropractic for your little guy with sensory. I see your baby's really colicky. They're having these interpersonal, we'll call them internal referral conversations. Generally, that conversation at baseball tonight is not going to be enough for her to call us right away, the new mom. When she gets home, gets the baby to bed, or doesn't because he's colicky and stressful, gets on the phone, goes to Google, takes a look at our website, takes a look at our reviews, goes to Instagram, are we for real? Goes to Facebook, are we for real? Maybe at her next OT appointment, asks her OT, are we for real? So when she calls in 6 months later, I don't know, 6 weeks later, 6 days later, 6 sources later, and she says on it, and the paperwork just says, how'd you hear about us? She's going to probably say the mom at the baseball field.
Yes.
Now I'm going to mistakenly run my practice thinking that internal referrals is all I need to be. And I can be one of those fancy chiropractors who gets on Facebook and goes, oh, I'm all internal referral. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, and nor do you want to be, because that limits your impact if you only have, one pole in the pond to save babies with. So what we do in that case, we actually assign percentage points. I have a Google sheet that tracks, I'll make it easier math. Let's say it was a mom, Instagram, Facebook, and then she came to a workshop and I actually signed her up. She actually signed up for her new patient for her kid at the Perfect Storm workshop. That's 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, 0.25. So I can look at I call it my new patient tracking distribution plot at any time for the practice. And I know exactly what's working and what's not.
Yeah, but that's so clever. I've really started to beat this drum, particularly over the last 12 months, but over the last 3. Sometimes we are small businesses, but we need to think like bigger businesses. Like, can you imagine the CEO of Nike going to the social media team and saying, how many shoes did we sell this week because of your posts? The idea of attribution, and the interesting thing is we see now attribution in marketing terms is this idea that I spent $1 here and I got $1.50 back. And you used to be able to measure it really easily. Nowadays, Apple is going out of their way to make it impossible for their whole advertising at the moment is buy our phone and we'll stop people from tracking you. So everything is getting more and more difficult about that. And we have to see that our social media is just part of a nurture process. And it's very difficult to, ascertain exactly where it fits in there. But I just, last time, our listeners, that you made a significant purchase, I'm going to bet that there was some kind of online exploration that you did as a part of it. So stop asking a narrow-minded question of how many patients did we get from social, for all of those reasons that Tony said beforehand as well. So let me summarize those points. Point number one is that step number one is that you've got to be, I like this idea of, rather than becoming a consumer of social media content, become an observer. Look at it from that point of view where you are watching particularly accounts that your patients are wanting to watch and those people that are leaders in the industry. I don't think they need to be in the healthcare industry. Do you think so?
No, not necessarily. But I think they probably would get some extra points if they're, and then they get, real bonus points. There's a few people on Instagram who are branding themselves vagus nerve, autonomic nervous system, and they have huge followings. I'm watching them like a hawk because I'm like, well, you're right in it. But no, they don't have to be.
Yes. The next step, if we say, look, I'm becoming, a student of this, then step number 2 is become a practitioner. Start to actually implement some things and go into it with that playful mind as well. And then I think you put it so beautifully, hold on to the growth mindset. And step number 3 is actually measure it. We have to measure it. It's really easy to measure either through the Instagram and all of these platforms have got it. TikTok now as well, YouTube, there's analytics there. Don't, people are going to want to say that it's confusing. It's not. Okay. You can learn this stuff. If you know how to listen to this podcast, if you've worked out how to make that happen, you can look at the analytics. And the fact that you've got through 5 years of studying to be a chiropractor, don't be so damn disrespectful to yourself by saying it's too hard. It's a story, get rid of it as well, the 2. And then, that's a cycle that you continue to run through. Watch, observe, implement, track, fine tune from there too.
Repeat, and then go for this. Here's your bonus points. Step up the quality, and so you got to do the first 3. When you do the first 3 and you do them well over a consistent margin of time, the only way to get good is to get after it over a significant period of time. So like a care plan for a kid, right? One adjustment is subluxated and perfect stormed out as these kids are. One adjustment ain't as powerful as it was in 1971. Does that mean we're not as good of adjusters? No, it means we're adjusting into a much more significant headwind of neurological negative momentum, right? Yeah. And so learn how to do the job, which is, I always think a lot of times people are like, oh man, Tony, Tony really figured out marketing and branding and team building and everything else. Yeah, I figured out how to freaking expect miracles first. This is all on the heels of just clinical badassity, right? Like every day we see these miracles of moms are just crying happy tears. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna go find 100 million more of you moms, because that's my responsibility. So anyways, the boost for those that are ready is to put your money where your mouth is. We were talking, I'm doing it right here in this new studio, because a lot more people are getting in the game and there is more video content and there is more Instagram content and there is more Facebook content than ever before. You gotta get gooder, okay? Using my bad Iowa English. You've got to step up your game. This was, again, my mentors, my big fish, who I learned from. And then I pay them to help me. So they look at our stuff and they give very sound advice. And they're like, okay, good job. You are consistently producing across all platforms. Now, at least take your shirt off and get the smudge off your camera, you moron. Like, good Lord, could you have worse video, and lighting, and like the goats are making noise in the background, like, step up. And so quantity of output, I'll speak to Gary Vee. He's the number one I study in this. Speaking of big fish, I think he's the best in this game. So you have to win on quantity. So be a media company. And then, as he always says, the creative is the difference maker, right? So now the quality of the creative. So we just invested in a ridiculously high-end studio, because what we're going to do with PX Docs, which is our public facing platform that represents our 800 members, and soon will be 8,000. We're going to grow our Instagram well over 100,000. We're going to grow our Facebook hundreds of thousands. We are right now, the website just passed, this month will pass 20,000 hits per month on our directory and our website. We're going for 1 million per month. Yeah. So I know the only way I can reach that many is to take the quality and make it look so damn good that it causes parents to pause and go, whoa, that looks different. Whoa, that sounds different. And whoa, they won't go away. That's back to the quantity of being a practitioner every single day. And so you really do hit it from all angles, which I think, for me, in closing, goes back to our beginning. Don't go down this road alone. We went from Catherine to now I have my docs help. I know you guys have your docs, some of them make reels, your CAs coordinate it and run it. I know this because I'm learning from my team every single day. And so invest in this yourself to learn. Like, if you're just getting started, you should do it all, because then you'll be good. And then you can learn how to add to the team and go from there. So yeah, CA can go a long ways.
I want to, because as our listeners checking in with that too, when Tony was saying before 20,000 views a month, that is parents. This is not other chiropractors. Because I'm so damn excited about this, because nobody has ever committed to this in chiropractic ever beforehand, to say that I am going to have a website here that speaks to parents globally about the chiropractic mission there too. I'm so damn excited that you've taken this on there too, because I bet next time that we're on here as well, that will have doubled, and it'll take no time at all to get that well into sort of 6 figures of traffic a month.
Funniest thing ever, literally on this computer in this room, right before I dialed in with you, I was on with my accountant team. Christine and I were going through it. So he's mid-year checkup, right? It's early July and we're recording this. And I've told him 1,000 times, or however many times. But so PX Docs is its own separate business entity, right? The online platform to go forth and reach millions of parents and accomplish our mission. And it makes $0, none, not at all. And he literally tallied it up for me today. And he was like, and he put a really big number on the screen. He's like, this is how much you're invested into. And he's funny. He's like, what is it again? PX Docs? Like that thing? Is it like what is it again? And he put the number on the screen. He's like, when is that gonna, what does it do again? And so in that moment, I was like, I really went back to prayer, and I'm like, okay, I know why no one else has ever done this. On a financial spreadsheet, it looks really stupid. And it's just really ready, because I think you can take this to a local effect. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that hopefully with a ton of you. I bet a ton of our tribe is listening, and I hope a lot of you that are not in the tribe yet will be. We're going to do it regardless. But you can take the only reason we have committed to this large of a move with the PX Docs platform is because we know it will work, because we proved it out on a local level first. Parents are firing their pediatrician by the millions right now. They already were before the entire overreaction of COVID. And now that pissed off entirely another 20, 30, 40% of the population who was just kind of chilling in the middle. Oh, colic and ear infections and ADHD. They just were numb enough to be like, oh, I'm accepting of it. Now medicine pushed so hard, they're getting a massive pushback. There's a huge freaking move happening right now where people are seeking out drug-free, neurologically focused health. Notice I didn't say natural. We need to brand ourselves in this space, take it over, because it's a blue ocean, which is another, I guess for you, it's another one of your favorite marketing categories. And guess who's not producing content on social media or the internet all day, every day, which is leaving us the space to kick their ass? Those old curmudgeon, it's been so easy for so long, pediatricians, we don't need to. They're going to wake up one day soon and go, what just happened? And we're going to go, PX docs.
Yes. And you know, the social media, you know, the fact is, you know, when you think about it now, I mean, you have a television studio, like a broadcast level television studio that was not possible just 10 years ago. And there was the cost involved in that, the bandwidth to be able to pull it off as well. This is all getting easier and easier. Dude, I love you, buddy. I really, really do. Thanks for chatting today. I can't wait to see how this continues to unfold. The two, you are just a machine at setting these big, hairy, juicy goals and then, you know, just chewing them up, you know, one step at a time there too, bud. So can't wait to see what happens next. As Tone said before, if you're not a part of the PX group, just do it. There'll be links inside of here now. I love chatting with your docs because they're continuing to knock it out at the park. There's not another group that exists. Don't for one moment, Tony has shared a bunch of time today talking about the marketing and business side of things. Don't think for one moment that this is a bunch of chiropractors that are just really good marketers and talk the talk. This is a clinically focused group that eats up, owns and understands the science and the practice of pediatric chiropractic. So I want to clarify that so we don't pigeonhole who this is there too. Tony understands the science behind this and can talk a big game. And you know, it's beautiful, buddy. So thanks for all that you're doing there.
Yeah, you got it. Let me take this out. I know my team will listen to it. It is so not me at all anymore. There is such a team of amazing, unbelievably all-in humans behind us on Team PWC and PX. And brother, man, you got to know, we consider you on that team. Like we learned from you. You know, you gave the video training program has changed everything with our videos years ago. Now we just saddled up Crystal and Catherine, two of my CAs are going to be in your first group at the CA course. You're on the team, Holmes. We're learning from you all the time. So thank you to you. And also, you know, just a decree, which I already know you're going to follow through on anyways, but don't stop, because the more you do, the better you keep getting. So the more we keep learning from you. I love it every time a new podcast episode comes out. I'm like, let's go. So we'll stay at it together, Holmes. And
you're
then
the best, buddy.
Play golf together soon.
Oh, yes. Well, travel is now getting easy for us from this colony over here. So it won't be long and we'll be together swinging a golf club. All right, dude. See you soon, man. Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.